Yeah, so absolutely happy to have Bryan Andrews on the podcast today, man. How have things been for you?
Just incredible last couple of weeks. I mean, really the last few months, we've just been really hitting the music hard and hitting the content hard. So, I mean, I'm living on the clouds right now.
Yeah. So, you grew up, born and raised in Missouri, is that correct?
Yep. I was born in Boise, Idaho, actually. I moved
Okay.
to, yeah, both my folks are from Missouri, but they wanted to live in the mountains. So we moved to the mountains when I was born they moved to the mountains when my brother was like 2 weeks old. And then I was born in Boise and lived there till I was like 7 and moved here right before my 8th birthday. So,
Got it. Got it.
yeah.
So what kind of music did you grow up on? What were your parents listening to? What were like kind of the early songs in your ears?
Not country music. They was mostly listening to, like 80s rock. Like my dad, my mom and dad are huge Styx fans. Foreigner was big. My dad's a huge Rush fan. So, listened to a lot of that growing up, and then they're both music teachers, so listen to a lot of music
Amazing.
like that too.
Yeah. So when you kind of found your ear, what gravitated you towards country music? Was there an artist that you kind of fell in love with that put you there, or is it kind of something over the years that you just kind of slowly started going towards?
Well, I think like the old school country music everybody listened to, when they first discover country. When I moved to a small town back to my dad's hometown in Missouri, everybody that I knew was listening to country music, so it wasn't something you could just get away from. But when I was growing up, you listen to the Randy Housers of the world and stuff like that, and it was just this gritty type of, like Toby Keith and shit like that,
Hmm. Yeah.
and fell in love with it that way. And then you just learn, like for me, it was diving into the history of country music, learning about Johnny Cash and all the highwaymen and stuff like that, and where
Yeah.
country really came from, and really learning its roots, even going back to like Memphis and areas like that. So that was pretty much how I fell in love with country music. But I also listened to a lot of like, I grew up in the Midwest, so that alternative punk music back in the day was
Yeah.
huge. One of my favorite bands of all time is Mayday Parade. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
So it's funny. I think I went through something similar, mind you, halfway across the country. Small town Pennsylvania doesn't sound too different from small town Missouri. I grew up
yeah,
on country music. You were kind of forced to, went through I don't know, maybe a Mayday Parade phase, but I went through a big Rise Against phase
yeah,
when I was growing up. Their early stuff was really, really punk.
yeah.
And
Escape from
then,
Fate back in the day, like
yeah,
Jimmy
yeah,
Eat
of
World,
course.
like bands
Yeah.
like that.
So, yeah, it sounds like a very similar upbringing to say the least. So when did you first start writing music? How old were you?
Yeah, I was like, let's see, I started playing guitar my senior year of high school when I was 17, and I didn't really start writing my own songs until I was 18 in college and was going through shit, and I was trying to figure out how to like, I was doing a lot of shit I shouldn't have been doing at the time, but I was trying to figure out how to use, healthy ways of coping and shit like that when I got off of pills and everything. And so I really picked up the guitar after that again and started writing when I got back into college. Ended up dropping out of college after that, and then went to go work on the road when I was welding pipe on the road. And when I was doing that, that's when I really started writing a lot of songs, because I was sitting in hotel rooms every night, after work, nothing to do, in some, really small town somewhere, in the Midwest, really. And I was like, well, I'll just figure out how to start writing. So I just started writing about shit that I saw on the road all the time, and stuff like that. And then got TikTok one day because all my buddies had it already, and they saw funny videos back in like 2018 all the time. I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
I want to pass the time like that. So downloaded TikTok, and then seen a bunch of people posting their music and stuff. And I was like, well, fuck, I could do that. You know what I'm saying? So I started doing that. And then a year later, quit my job and been doing this ever since, full time.
Yeah. What was that like the day you quit, and what were kind of the feelings that went kind of through your head? Because I know similarly for me, like I worked in a warehouse for a better part of a decade, and then it's kind of the same way, like in different lanes of music, but I was able to kind of make this a life for now at least. And I know when I quit, it was like felt like the world was ending, even though it was like
Yeah.
right in front of me, but it felt at the same time like the world was ending, and it was a very high pressure, high anxiety situation.
Yeah, dude. So like I had written the very first song I ended up actually officially releasing the streaming platforms and stuff. I wrote that first part of that song when I was still working on the road in Minnesota, and like came home and put a video of it on TikTok, and that was like one of the first viral videos I had of my music. It got like close to 1 million views, and I was like, oh shit, dude, like I could actually do this or whatever. And so I got with a um, or a studio back home that had a producer that was really good, you know, produced that song for me. And we got it going and everything. And then I was still working in Minnesota when the song got done. I remember it was in November, right before Thanksgiving. And I was like, well, the song's done. I was like, I'm about to release my very first song ever, wasn't making any money on TikTok at the time, but I was like, dude, I just know I could make this work, I had like 80,000 followers on TikTok, I think, at the time. And I was like, okay, well, I was at work right before Thanksgiving. We was about to get out for Thanksgiving break, and I got COVID. So I came home early, and then I was like listening to the song. I was like, dude, I know I can do this or whatever. So I put the song out. And instead of going back to work after Thanksgiving break, I went back for another week to a different job site for the same company. And I was for like 3 days, and then came back home to Missouri, and I was about to go back to Minnesota. And I was like, I'm not going back. So I didn't go back. And then I was like, I had a little bit of money saved up, and we used to drag up all the time and take a little bit of time off anyway. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm just taking a little time off. But I knew I didn't want to go back. And then the song came out, and I was like, oh, this is so dope or whatever. But it did like 9,000 streams on Spotify in the first week. And then I posted a video, my very first real viral video, and it got like 15 million views of that song getting played on the radio in my hometown radio station. And the rest was history. So
Yeah. I mean, especially it's funny, the social media and TikTok in general has really given people the space to, you market yourself, right? Like you have the same chance as anybody else to make a living off doing something that you love. And it's insanely stressful and insanely rewarding at the same time.
yeah.
So, has your approach, you wrote your first song, I don't know how old you are now, but probably like a good 5-6 years ago, I'd imagine, at least.
Yep.
So has your process to writing music changed even in that short span of time?
Yeah, dude. I mean, like when I first started writing, like it was pretty much like I could think of a chorus or something like that, and I was knocking the song out in like, a day or an evening or something like that, because I was just trying to write as much as I possibly could, And sometimes, like, if I thought of it back then, if I thought of an idea and wrote it out and I didn't like it very much, then I never touched it again. It was just like getting the repetition of writing in, and I think that's what helped me the most. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I was just writing because I wanted to write. But then, like as time went on and stuff like that, I was like, oh, okay, some of these songs are starting to get pretty good. That's all I ever did for a really long time was write by myself, and up until... I've had a few co-writes before this, but they were all over Zoom. I've never actually done like an in-person writing session until I signed my label deal back in June. And so I went out and did co-writes in LA and in Nashville. And that has just leveled up the game. Because
Right.
it's just different, like even back then, like I was like, oh yeah, dude, I was prideful about, writing my own songs and stuff like that by myself. And I had some success doing it, but there's just a different level when you're getting in a room with a producer, and with other writers, that have been doing it for a long time, and you're actually trying to make meaningful songs, because then it just, everybody amplifies everybody, and it just feeds off each other in that room. And you can get full demos made in one day, and they sound ripping, basically, So it's like, it's just a different ball game. And I've enjoyed it so much. Like that's one of my favorite parts of this whole thing, is being able to get in rooms with people and write the best songs possible. So
Yeah. Is there an added pressure to you, maybe personally, that you kind of made your living, or, got your start on TikTok and social media? Is there a pressure for you to continue to have that kind of presence online? Do you like having that presence online?
absolutely. I think for me, it's like the content feeds the music anyway. It's like I was an independent artist for 5 years, so I didn't have marketing dollars or anything like that. It was, just me. So if I was going to get streams, it was going to be because I made good content. And so for me, like I started out writing songs while I was also figuring out how to post on social media. So it was always like something that went hand in hand for me. Like I see a lot of artists all the time say, like, well, I didn't do this to be a TikToker. I wanted to be a musician. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, the world we live in, like, you do
Yeah,
have to be both, and now they just go hand in hand. Like,
yeah,
if you don't believe in your music or your art enough to find creative ways to push it, then nobody else is either.
yeah, yeah. It's funny. You might be one of the first people I've talked to on this that I feel like have really come up through that, that side of it and have an understanding of like, not that people, I mean, I think artists understand that it's part of the job, right? And it's part of what they are like required to do. That most of them, I feel like, don't enjoy it by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you feel like the first person who actually like understands what it can do for you, and
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's because
have
I've
you?
seen it firsthand. I was, like I said, I was an independent artist for so long, and it's like, I
Yeah,
mean, I figured out real quick, fast, and in a hurry that like content is king.
yeah.
So,
It is. Do you feel like, do you struggle to match the content to the messages of your music at times?
some,
Is that a
some,
struggle for you?
yeah, sometimes it is. I mean, like for me, I used to do a lot of skits and stuff like that because I always liked having the funny element and shit like that, and I always wanted like people to be able to relate to me as a person. So that's why I love doing the content so much. But there are some songs where it's a little bit hard to like get that message across. So you know, some songs like don't get as much love as I think they should because I failed on the content end of it
Yeah,
to like get that message across in a meaningful way. But I think that like if the song, more times than not, if the song really, really means something and it's an important message, it's an important song that a lot of people can relate to, then it's your message is going to get across.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't agree more. Do you? So you make country music, and I think I'd be remiss not to mention, like, if you make country music in a style that is definitely not what most people would assume country music to be, right?
Yeah,
So
dude.
those unfamiliar, your newest song, "The Older I Get," I believe that's the name of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
is definitely, it feels like a throwback in terms of the message to what country music was. Uh, Maybe not what it's been for maybe 20, 25 years, but definitely what it was.
Yeah, dude. That's you pretty much nailed it. It's like bringing country music back to where it stood up against injustice and stood up for people and stood up for things that, were important to speak about and stuff like that. And like, I mean, I just don't know which, like, I guess you can probably pinpoint where in country music it started going that direction, but or the direction that it is now. But for me, like, it was always about standing up for the little guy. Like, that's what country music has always been. It's been simple songs that tell a story that are meaningful. You know what I mean? And so it's not just this like bootlicking country music, and it sucks when I see other artists be like, "Oh, like, oh, that ain't country." It's like, dude, just because I'm not fucking spouting the same dumb bullshit you are doesn't mean I ain't no country artist. Like,
Yeah.
I'm from my small town and I still live in this bitch. Where you at?
Right. Yeah. Have you gotten pushback from country artists specifically because of
I
what you do?
no other artist has specifically come for me
Yeah.
or said anything publicly about me yet, and I don't know if it's just because they don't want to deal with it or they don't want to pick the fight or whatever. But I mean, I got no ill intentions towards anybody unless you start talking that shit. And so
Yeah.
for me, it's like, if you got something to say that you think is correct or what, I'm not stupid enough to believe that I'm right all the time. It's just that, with some of these songs I write, I wanted to give a different perspective of country music because like country music used to be, dude, Johnny Cash singing about the Man in Black was talking about helping poor people, or Johnny Cash singing about Folsom Prison Blues talking about how we need prison reform. Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson singing songs about how sometimes dudes kiss each other and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just not this like super like conservative thing that everybody believes that it is. And I hate seeing that. Like a lot of times when I post videos about this stuff now or this song specifically, it's like, oh well, I quit listening to country music. It's like, dude, I hate that. I hate that some people have quit listening to country music because like they don't agree with something. You know what I'm saying? And like, so I want to give those people like a way to come back to country music because I love country music so much, and I believe that real music matters, and I've always believed that country music stands boldly against shit, and it always has
Yeah.
for since its roots.
Do you? Yeah. I mean, first off, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Do you get a lot of people like in your videos who know how to phrase it? You know, I'm sure it creates a lot of controversy, right, with the
Yeah.
messages you put out, right? Is it? Do you find that it translates to people listening to your music pretty well?
Yeah, I do. I think that I mean it like iTunes isn't like the best chart ever because it's pretty, nobody really buys music like that anymore, but I mean, it's still it's a representation, and I mean that song went number 1 on the iTunes country chart and was there for like 2-3 days. So
Yeah.
if people didn't like that music, then they, it would have never got there. And like the streaming numbers are better than, almost any song I've put out. So it's not like people aren't listening to that music. I think that like that song itself, when you actually listen to the song, it's not all that controversial. It's just, sometimes I'll say things that are controversial because I also want people to connect to me as an artist, not just what the song says at the time or something like that. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some people that get in those comments and just, get to chirping and shit like that. But it is what it is. I mean, like, I'm not here to please everybody. I'm here to say what I want to say and say the things that I believe in. So,
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, I'm assuming, again, back to this kind of small town growing up, what was it country music specifically that got you, you know, it's very easy in small town life to be conservative, right? Like, I mean, I
yeah.
grew up, I'm in the same boat. Like, I grew up I graduated with like 50 kids in high school, like
hmm
super small town America. What for you put you on a path of different beliefs than most of small town America?
Well, first of all, I always say, like, I'm not oblivious to, like, people um, getting influence from their families and stuff like that. And I know that I'm probably a little bit left leaning because my parents were. But I mean, it was super easy for me to be able to grow up with my friends and be able to relate to them in ways, especially some in politics. And every one of them is a Republican. So, I mean, it's not like my best friends that I drink beer with every single weekend are as conservative as it gets. And I think that when I like look back at like how I ended up this way, it's always because I will look at every situation and think to myself like, how is stepping on people the right answer? And like the thing is, I don't believe that we're all that different. I don't believe that conservatives and Democrats or liberals or whatever you want to call them they're all that different. We're all tired of getting railroaded. That's the main thing. For me, I believe it's billionaires because that's if you follow the money, that's where they got it.
Yep.
For them, they're told constantly on media that it's poor people on welfare and immigrants. And it's almost never the case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like
I
that
know.
shit pisses me off. So when I get talking about it and when I get thinking about it and you read about this shit, it's actually right in front of your face. So for me, I knew I had a platform already where I was going to be in the face of those people who think differently than, you know, not just being in an echo chamber all the time. So I knew I was going to be able to talk to some of these people and be like, "Hey, I don't hate you because you're a conservative. Nobody does. But you can't tell me you can't look at this shit and think to yourself, "Hmm, there's got to be a better way we can do this."
Yeah. 100%.
So,
I know for me, like kind of in that same, like I grew up not, trying not to judge a single person because my grandmother was a person who saw people struggling and did not care and was the nicest human being I've ever encountered in my life to anybody, and where it didn't matter where they've come from, kind of deal, right? And I definitely believe we could all benefit from just a little bit of that, a little bit of caring about the human next to you, not,
yeah, man, we got to stop seeing people for just like numbers or seeing people from where they're from or what color their skin is, dude. And like, I can't believe in 2025 that I say that, but it's like people will say all the time, like talking about immigrants in an ER and stuff like that. And it's like, how many times do you go in there and see illegal immigrants in there? And that's what the reason for long wait times. It's like, how do you know that those people are illegal? Well, they're Mexican. Okay, so because they're brown, you think they're an illegal immigrant. Like, like, bro, that's you thinking something negative about somebody because they have a different color fucking skin than you do.
Yeah.
And like,
It's
I'm
insane.
not saying that people are like inherently racist in small towns and stuff like that, because they're not, dude. They're good
No.
people. But like, when you look at situations like that, it's like, dude, you're just blind to it. You don't see it. You're not connecting the dot. You know what I mean? And the thing is like, you wouldn't think that way if they didn't fucking tell you to think that way, dog. Like, if you just looked at human beings for being humans, then you wouldn't think that way. But we don't look at human beings like humans anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's the shit I'm trying to bring back. That's the main goal. Because when I think about the world that I grew up in, I'm like, in like this post 9/11 era, it felt like we were so unified when I was a kid. And I was damn proud to be from here. I still am proud of where I'm from and shit like that. But the older I get, the more I'm like, what the fuck? You know?
You get a weird like clarity to things that maybe you didn't understand when you were a kid, or maybe
Yeah.
just weren't there. Like it's tough to really know. I think about that a lot too. Like, was I just blind to these things as a child, or was
Right.
like were they just not there? Something I think about a lot. So
Me too,
in
man.
terms of circling back to your music, is there you got a bigger EP on the way? You got an album on the way, kind of situation, or
I
you just
think
gonna continue putting out singles?
yeah, the plan right now is just to keep blasting singles, dude. I think
Yeah,
for the way that music is now, like, I mean, albums are dope and everything, and I think if you're a really big signed artist and stuff like that, and you're already pretty well prominent, pretty well known and shit like that, I think the big projects are still a necessity. And after this TikTokification of era of music and shit like that, I still think albums are coming back, to being important and shit like that. But for independent artists or smaller artists that are still kind of gaining momentum and shit like that, it's singles.
yeah,
I mean, there's multiple artists out there that are doing it's like the same strategy. It's like keep retaining listeners. You know what I'm saying? Give them something
yeah.
new. Give them new
Yep.
content.
Yeah,
So
it's it feels like that like Zach Bryan approach to music, right? Like
yeah,
you have something, it's out, and yeah, for sure. Like especially for independent artists or smaller artists, having that again, we're in this like attention economy, right? So having that, being at the forefront of it, whether it's a new song or continuing to push what you have, it's the only way you could keep that listener base growing, right? The second you
yeah,
stop doing it is like the people start drifting away, and
yep.
it's unfortunate, but it's definitely the reality we live in.
Yeah, because internet time just like doesn't last. You know what I'm saying? Like a month on the internet is a year, dog. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
so it's like, especially like even 3 months. I mean, I was like at 200,000 or 210,000 monthly listeners when I put out, or before I started releasing music with the label. And the last time I had put out a song was in October of 2024. And I was at 210,000 monthlies. And by the time we had put another song out in August of this year, I was at like 130.
yeah, yeah.
So,
The
I mean,
drop is
yeah,
crazy.
you just got to keep feeding the machine. You know what I mean? And we knew that we had time on our side because, we were about to roll out a bunch of songs and everything, and we were making a ton of music.
Yeah,
But I think that the main thing for independent artists is just to keep rolling out music. Find a way to do it, budget friendly and stuff like that, and just work within your budget and just keep rolling out and making the best music you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's another message I think that smaller artists need to know is like when you're first starting and you're really getting music out there, it doesn't have to sound like, the next big hit on the radio. I mean, it needs to sound decent, and you have to write good songs. But good songs, whether they have just a guitar or 40 instruments, it's still a good
a
song.
good song. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That production of like this simple one take production has really come back around, right? Like the embracing the imperfection in music kind of brings back the authenticity to it in ways. That at least I know I connect to a lot more, and feels like a lot more people are kind of going down that road as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, dude. You think about like music even now, like, I'm big into making rock music too. So Like I market myself as a country artist because my whole brand is country, and I'm from a small town and still live here, and I'd make a lot of country music and stuff like that, but I love making or writing rock songs and shit like that too. And there's I think that's where I want to go as an artist. I want people to be able to listen to different genres all the time, from the same artist and stuff like that, and not have to put people in a box. And I really think that, like, artists like MGK and stuff like that have really proven that you can do that. Like, there's something to be said about like feeling the authentic vibe of a really bare bones, stripped down country song. And there's also a certain vibe when you're playing a, you know, drink your ass off rock bender. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's part of like being an artist, right? Is like being able to grow, and we get we as listeners definitely get stuck in that. Like, oh, I really wanted to sound like the old stuff, goes back to this like uh, as problematic as he is, I miss the old Kanye, that song that he has
yeah.
out. So it's like it's a weird juxtaposition for artists, right? Try to maintain your authenticity, but keep the listener base that kind of with the songs you grew. It's a tough spot. One I don't envy in any way
Yeah.
for artists, but
Yeah, I think you just have to let your creative side flow, like, especially for me, like getting in rooms with different producers and stuff like that. It's like, just let the room kind of take its own path, so wherever the song goes, just let it go there,
yeah,
and if you don't like the end result, then okay, write another song, you know.
yeah. Have have you toured at all yet? I know you're pretty new into this. Have you done any touring at all?
Yeah, we've done a little bit, but not a whole lot. I mean, mostly it's just trying to gain momentum on the internet, and that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And now
Yeah,
I'm to the point where it's like, yeah, we really got to get on the road. So, I mean, in 2026, we're going to try to really hit it hard.
yeah. Get out there and see folks.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
dude.
man.
Because I mean, there's nothing like playing live shows, dude, especially in front of 300 people singing your words back to you. It's like, dude, this
Yeah.
bangs. So,
Right.
so
100%, man.
yeah.
I get that. So are you, apart from making music, are you a chronic music listener? Are you like, you're chronically online? Are you online to consume content, or are you just on there posting and rolling?
So I think a lot of like when I first started posting content and stuff like that, I was only on social media to like see what works, like when it comes to content and stuff like that. And I was strictly only on there to like basically do research and figure out how to create content myself. But now that I've kind of gotten my own lane and I'm kind of like, you know, in this spot where, people expect the kind of content that I'm going to make and stuff, and I'm really hone that part in. I'm definitely consuming a lot more music and content than I was.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. I think that, like, I hate like getting on the doom scroll, but like if I'm sitting there, for 30 minutes with time to kill, I'm like, okay, let's just check this out and see what's going on, on the
Yeah.
internet and stuff like that. And then, making long drives or like sitting around, if I got time to kill, I'm like, okay, let's listen to some other kind of music so that way I can really get out of my own creative headspace and just kind of listen to what other people are doing right now, and what's
Yeah.
hot, and actually be able to relate to music as a music listener, not just a music maker. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So,
Yeah. It's two sides of the coin that definitely go hand in hand for sure.
yeah.
So a question I like asking everybody on here is, out of every song maybe you have released, I guess we'll go from what's the song are you most proud of?
This last one I put out, The Older I Get.
Yeah.
It's the one that stands tall on the strongest message that I've wanted to say for a very long time, and like I say this a lot, but like I think a lot of people are like they use music as an escape to get away from the world that we see around us and stuff like that. But I totally understand that and agree. Like there's always a time for a breakup song or, for a party song or whatever, or for music to get you to feel something other than the doom that it seems like we see all around us. But um and I write songs like that, and I will continue to put out music like that. But for right now, at this moment, this song, I needed to say these things. I needed to get this out so that, I could sleep better at night, because for a long time, I didn't talk about shit like this. And I hated it because I knew I was in country music and I didn't want to alienate my audience. But I mean, especially starting, back in December of last year, or even sooner than that, November, December of last year, watching everything that was about to unfold, and now watching things that have unfolded. I was like, I definitely waited too soon to start, or waited too late to start talking, but it ain't gonna stop me from talking now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that,
So
man. So, and then the next question I always get to is, obviously I live my life in music curation, so I always ask, give me a song or an artist that you've really been enjoying recently.
MGK, dude,
MGK.
yeah, Lost Americana album. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to Luke Combs' new album. I just jammed his 3-song EP that he put out, but yeah, I love Luke Combs, and he's one of my biggest influences from a very young age, But MGK is killing it right now, dude. And I started listening to MGK with I'd never really listened to his hip hop stuff, but when he came out with Tickets to My Downfall, I was like, this shit bangs. And then just kept listening and everything. And then this last album he just put out, the Lost Americana album, is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
So
Amazing. Well, I mean, kind of wrapping up here, like what can people look forward to from you here? We talked a little bit about tour, the next, 6,
yeah,
9 months. What do we got coming up?
yeah, definitely getting back out, or getting on the road, and can't wait for that shit, because that's what we do this for. You know what I mean? But like, as far as that, just look out for the music, because we're coming in hot and I ain't quitting. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna drop like flies, dude.
Yeah.
So
I
super
love
pumped.
that, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, I can't wait to hear what you got coming out.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.